Joined now by Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Following the prisoner swap for Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl last week, you wrote in USA Today, this endangers Americans. It's part of a broader problem with the president's approach to the war on terror. Still feeling pretty firmly about those comments?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we're all happy that the sergeant is home with his family, and no one is lamenting that. But I think what is troubling here is that there are 5 very dangerous people. In fact, 5 very capable anti-American commanders who will soon return to the battlefield against America.
What kind of oversight is there on them? We heard Secretary of State Kerry talking about over the course of the next year, we're going to be surveilling them, watching them. But how confident should we be in that?
Well, I'm not overly confident based on what I know. Some of the information, of course, is classified, but I can tell you that I've reviewed it, and I don't think anyone, Democrat or Republican, that was around me at that meeting was overly impressed with what they have in mind in terms of oversight over the next couple of years on these 5 individuals.
Do you think that the Army Sergeant Bergdahl should face criminal charges for the allegations that seem to be piling up against him that he deserted his post?
Well, I certainly think he deserves due process in the United States with the criminal justice system within the military. They're going to review all those allegations. They're going to make a decision about what to move forward on or not move forward on. He deserves to be treated fairly in that regard, and I would caution against only taking the position of things you hear in the media. There's probably more to those stories. That being, to me, that's an important part of this, but the singular part of it that I want to focus on is the fact that the president has gone ahead and released 5 extremely dangerous Taliban commanders. I mean, perhaps the 5 most dangerous Taliban commanders in Guantanamo are now free and already planning to be at war against the United States fairly soon, as they have said upon arrival when they arrived in Qatar.
Yeah, what more do we know about these guys? I mean, you've had some of those classified briefings, and we've heard those assertions about perhaps some of the most dangerous. What can the average Joe hear about these individuals?
Well, they were all senior-level commanders in the Taliban. One of them commanded a unit that went into a village and killed women and children and innocent civilians in large numbers, and committed what would be normally considered a war crime under any other circumstance. One was involved in the intelligence gathering functions was a senior commander in that regard of the Taliban. All 5 are people that we fully anticipate would return to the battlefield. I mean, these guys aren't going back home to become stockbrokers or journalists. I mean, these are hardened Taliban fighters, and this return has been hailed as a victory for the Taliban. Has really given them credibility in the region and on the ground as a legitimate government, a legitimate military force. And it sets a very dangerous precedent for the future.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio, appreciate you checking in for a few minutes this morning. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.